we are going live now, completely unprepared as per usual. And yeah, I don't think I actually mentioned it to anyone. Let me see, I got books everywhere and stuff. I've just been so busy lately. We'll get into that shortly. Let's see here. Just trying to get everything in order. I forgot. See, sometimes when I set up these lives, everything goes horrendous and it takes forever to get things to work. And I end up getting frustrated and just starting over 3 or 4 times. Other times it jumps right through, like perfectly, as if everything I could possibly do went so unbelievably right. And I'm not ready. And this time, that's what happened. Everything just jumped through super easy. Dave Newman, good to see you there. So I'm just trying to bring up my reference points because I do have a few things to talk about. And that is not one of my reference points. You know, if you're just tuning in, feel free to share this around. Let people know that we're jumping in live. I know I got screens popping up everywhere. Let's see here. I literally just got an email that told me that I'm live. Didn't really need that. I know. But if you're popping in, you know, pop in the chat as always. Let's get some conversations going on. Galen, good to see you later. Good to see you now. You'll have to watch later. Okay, I was kind of talking and reading your comment at the same time. You got some family over. Well, enjoy the family time. Funny enough, I was actually watching a clip of yours this morning. It made me chuckle. I'm not going to tell you which one either. So, lately there's been a few things going on. I think when I popped in and spoke to you last, 334 Outdoors, good to see you. I was hoping to have 2 videos ready and released before the big social. I'm going to be honest with you, at this point, I don't even know when the last time I was on live was. I think it was the end of September. Things have just not gone according to plan. Actually, let me go in and see. I got things that can tell me. All right, so it has been a long time since we put an actual video up. That's getting fixed. I've actually spent the last week and a half working on that because I couldn't do much else. We'll get into that shortly. So September 10th was the last live stream we did. So yeah, we've got about a month and a half of stuff to catch up on here. Okay. Dan Patterson, afternoon. Good to see you there. 334 Outdoors. We're not getting into that right now. No political stuff. Too much of that going on, and nobody knows one side from the other anymore. So who knows what's going on or who's telling the truth or whatever. But yeah, it's just craziness everywhere. Back to the channel. So yeah, it's September 10th was the last time I sat here and spoke with you about kind of what was going on. And, you know, I was still kind of really down about a lot of things, and I was having trouble kind of being motivated to do anything. Just so many things to take care of. But I did let you know at that point that I was going to try and get 2 videos out before the big CCS social for the year. It didn't happen. Unfortunately, the match fishing video that I was working on, I got to about 75% done, and whatever corrupted files were in from the action camera, so the bite camera that actually took most of the footage, just corrupted that project to the point where I had to scrap it completely. I think I can go in and redo it. There was a new update to Adobe Premiere Pro, and once I got the new update, it seemed like things were moving a lot smoother. Had a few hiccups with it, moving files from the old version to the new version, but I think it looks like I can pull all the footage into the new version of Premiere Pro and get back to work on that starting from scratch. So the match fishing video, I'm still hopeful that I can get into something that we can actually watch. It's kind of important. I really want to make sure that that video comes out because I really enjoyed those 3 matches I did this year. And I will be doing more matches next year. So that's definitely one of my higher priority projects to get done. It just sucks that I have to start over. As far as the 300 upload video, I have been working on that quite steadily for about a week and a half now. Zane and I actually went out and filmed some segments to kind of put in between the clips and favorite moments that people have mentioned and sent videos in for. So that video is about 95% done. It's almost all in line. There's a few things I have to adjust, and I'm holding out for one more person's clip. There's a number of people that said that they would submit clips and haven't sent them in, which is fine. People are busy. I get that. But this one in particular, I made a follow-up call last week because I don't really want to put this video out until I get that clip. That one's kind of important for me to make sure is in there. So I'm going to do another follow-up call on that clip probably in the next couple of days. And I wanted that video out today. The very latest, I wanted it out tomorrow, but I don't have that clip yet. So I will be doing more work on that this afternoon. Hopefully get that clip soon, and then that one will be done. For those of you who have been following the breakdown series that Dave and I have been working on, I have to say I'm really, really enjoying doing that series. And based on the comments and discussions that we've had with you guys, it seems like you guys are really liking that series as well. So that one is going to continue into next year. Dave is really hemming and hawing about the possibility of actually trying to get episode 5 filmed still before this season's out. The water's still warm. We filmed the first episode in November of last year in the cold, cold rain when I did my segment. It was middle of November. So there's still the opportunity to actually get that done. So episode 5 may actually get completed soon. If Dave goes out and starts his, I have to rush out and get my side of it done. But episode 4, we are at 60 to 65% completion on the edit for that. Dave has done his whole side, and I haven't actually watched it through yet, not completely. Mine, I've got most of the clips in order. There's a few more I have to place, and then it's just going through and trimming it and doing the regular kind of music and graphics and whatnot. So that one's actually really close as well. I do have this weird feeling that there's another video that I have somewhere, but I have no recollection of doing it because I wasn't fishing much, but I also wasn't clear-headed in most cases with kind of what I was doing for a good part of this year. So I have to basically go through every memory card I have for my cameras and see if there's footage that I don't recognize in there. Once I can figure out if there is a video just sitting in limbo, I'll get that put together. If not, then I just have to film some more. Let's see. Now, I was kind of planning, once we get into, well, I guess about December 1st, of switching gears and kind of getting into some trout action. For us here, lake trout season will open December 1st. They're closed for the spawn for October and November. But once the lake trout season opens back up, it's kind of a big kickoff to be able to get down to the river, catch some lake trout. Browns usually move in around the same time, and the rainbows really kick into high gear once those salmon are pretty much, done. There's a few more weeks of the salmon, and then you won't see any of them left in the system at all. So I'm actually really looking forward to getting into there, into the river and getting into some trout action. I only did the one session last year. That was the birthday session we did with Dave and Andrew. And that was such an awesome day. It was so much fun to be out fishing with both of them. Andrew to have made the whole trip, all the way down here to spend the day with us. And he netted everybody's fish. He didn't actually catch one of his own, if you haven't seen the video. But it was such a great day to spend time with both of those guys. And Dave put on an absolute tutorial to both of us to remind us that, yeah, that's somebody who's definitely dialed in when it comes to trout. So Dave and I have actually been talking, and we definitely want to get into some trout very soon. We've also been in talks about the birthday session, which is almost here. I think we're like 6 weeks away from the annual birthday session, and we both want to do something different. Dave suggested the possibility of going somewhere, not local, somewhere different, trying something kind of out of what we've done the last few years. So we're trying to work that out. And once we get that figured out, hopefully in time, we'll film it, because we film the birthday session every year. Actually, when I go back to work on Monday, I'll probably be booking the day off for that. Now, despite the plan of kind of switching gears and kind of jumping on the trout wagon for the winter, doing some more multi-species stuff, and I have to say that's not just my own interest. A lot of people have approached me the few times I've been on the bank this year, telling me how much they miss the multi-species stuff. And doing some of the match fishing was part of that. Me wanting to satisfy the need to catch something different. I was kind of left in limbo in my own head this year. We did the big winter campaign, kind of that 2 or 3 winter kind of target of getting a 20 and possibly even a 30 from the river in the wintertime. So, you definitely go back and check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. But to meet that target that I had set, 2 or 3 winters ago, and then to actually accomplish it, that was a really big weight off my shoulders. But it also kind of left me hanging of like, well, crap, what next? Now, I also had a spring campaign planned, and I'm not going to lie, I really didn't expect anything to come of it. I didn't think, based on the last, I think, 3 or 4 springs we've spent on that spot, Kevin and I fishing it, we hadn't landed a single fish from that spot, yet we had seen some of the biggest ones we've ever seen jumping there. So that was kind of a target and a campaign I wanted to do, but I didn't want to waste time filming because I didn't actually think much was going to come out of it. And it turns out that I actually had an absolutely insane spring fishing that location. And not only did I actually hit the target, but I actually hit the target twice within a few weeks of each other. So the spring campaign that I kind of had, which I'm not gonna lie, I really do wish I filmed it, and I didn't. I was expecting it to be more of a team effort between Kevin and I working that spot, since we had done so the previous several springs. I know he got in there a few times when I wasn't there, but for the most part, I ended up doing that whole thing alone, fishing by myself in that swim for the whole spring. And it was kind of a downer. I was catching great fish. I had a lot of blanks in between, but I was catching some really great fish in there. And I really enjoyed fishing that spot. But I had just come off doing a whole solo campaign through the winter time. And, here I was doing a solo campaign through the spring. It kind of got to the point where it's like, I really don't want to fish alone all summer. And just trying to get out the few times I did was a struggle. I did not have the motivation to get out and fish alone at all. If it wasn't for the few times that I got out with both Dave and Paul, I probably wouldn't have fished all summer at all. I probably wouldn't have bothered. I'm somebody who has 100 interests, and I'm never bored. I always have something to do. So it would have been very easily to distract myself with other things and not have that draw to go out fishing unless somebody said, hey, let's go. And I had somebody else to fish with. I've pretty much always been a solo angler for the most part. And there are times when I need to fish solo, just for my own reasons. But it takes a toll, man. You know what I mean? There are times when I just really need to fish with someone else and have a bit of a social. And, huge thanks to Dave and Paul for making sure that I did get those sessions in, because they helped. They really did. Even though the fishing, for the most part, sucked when we were out, we didn't get many fish, but it was great to be on the bank with them the times that I did. Now, going into winter now, obviously I'm going to have to get some solo sessions in here and there, but I'm really trying my best to focus on getting out with someone. And actually 2 weeks ago now, I did actually manage to get on the bank with Paul again. We went down to the upper river, and a spot that I had baited up for several days on my way to work. We got in there, and the weather was completely opposite of what it was supposed to be. But it still somehow worked out in our favor. We both had camera gear there, but we really didn't actually film anything for some reason. We had plans of filming a few different things, but the action kicked off immediately. I just whipped 2 rods out with old hook baits on them, just so I could set up the brawly and kind of the gear and make sure that I was kind of ready for the session. It was pouring rain out on and off. And, I don't even think Paul had his rods out of the sleeves, and I already had a fish on. And then while I had that one on the mat, the other rod went. And it was one of those sessions where we kind of thought it was going to go insane, and it didn't. I think we ended up where I think I landed 7 fish that day. Paul actually had a really nice fish on, like, he was using donkey choker baits. He was using big baits, holding out for a big fish, like double baits. He had one on, and it had to be a good fish. Ended up breaking him off, unfortunately. He did get some redemption a little bit later on those big baits. He had another fish that gave one hell of a fight. We landed, I think, about 80 yards down the bank. Had to go out around a dock and under trees and stuff like that. And it fought like a massive fish, ended up coming in, and it was just like a mid-double. But it was great that he got a fish as well. And it was just a good time. We relaxed, we hung out, chatted, caught some fish. And then after the fact, we were like, wow, we didn't film anything. So it's kind of a plan now that the next session we do together, if his cameras aren't running, mine are, and vice versa. So we're going to make sure that we actually get some filming done soon because he wants to do a winter project, and I don't think I can stay away from fishing carp all winter, knowing that I can go out and catch them in the wintertime. So we're gonna work on something together over the winter, and I'm really looking forward to that. So while I'm kind of bouncing around with Dave and catching some trout, hopefully, we're going to be kind of bouncing back and fishing with Paul and trying to get some winter carp, some snow carp, and who knows what we'll get into. I'm really going to focus on trying to find a few more swims to make it a little bit more interesting. Speaking of multi-species, I would love to see a rudd video. You know what? If I could find the groups of rudd like I did a few years ago, I would absolutely do a rudd video. I did only have a few rudd this year, but the ones I had were like good size. They were big. But I couldn't actually pinpoint any. There was a few spots where I went to where I would see one or I would get one, and then I couldn't find any more. I couldn't get any more. And then there was one day I went and I had, I think it was when I first got the 13 rods that you were all so kind to help me acquire, the 13-foot rods. I took them out for their first session, and I think I had 5 rudd that day. On top, like I had a couple of small carp, and then I had 5 rudd, 4 of which were about the same size as the carp. And I heard afterwards from someone else that fished the spot, I think it was Reg that was in that spot after me. He was hammering the rudd, but I did go back with some lighter gear, lighter trout rods and some floats and stuff, and they were gone. They weren't there. I was there, I think, a week later. Couldn't get into them. So rudd video is on my list, but for some reason, there was a few different places, some spots on the Welland River, some spots on the Niagara, and a spot in the creek nearby here. I'm pointing like you know where I'm pointing to. It's that way. Like if you go this way, like 4 blocks. Okay, sorry, this way about 4 blocks. No, not even that. 3 blocks is the Welland River. This way slightly, there's a creek, and the rudd get into there in the spring. But like the one year I was seeing groups of like 5 or 6 of them swim together, and I've not seen that since. If I could find those groups again, I'd definitely get onto some rudd and try to do a rudd video. That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm really lucky. You got creeks right there, Welland River right here, Niagara River. The Niagara River's 4 blocks, 5 blocks this way. I'm in walking distance of 3 really great pieces of water, and lots of different species. It's silly that I don't do a little bit more multi-species fishing. Whether I film it or not is a different story. But I want to do a little bit more. People are asking for it. Saw a lot of people saying, hey, we would love to see more of that. So we're going to try and add that in a little bit more next year. I don't want it to overshadow the carp because that's my favorite thing to do. Oh, I forgot about this. For some of you, YouTube is putting the ads in automatically. So there may be an ad that pops up for you in a second. Oh, I went to hit, it gave me a skip option. I went to hit skip and it didn't skip. So some of you might not be able to see me at the moment. Sorry. For those of you that do, I'm going to keep going. Because I actually don't know when the ad ends. It doesn't tell me. So yeah, rudd video is on the cards when I can actually find a group of them to focus my attention on them and try and get more than one at a time. Even if it's like a 15-minute video, if I can get 2 or 3 in a group, the way I want to catch them, which is with really light gear on a float, then that's definitely going to be something I'm looking forward to doing. Dave and I also still have we have whips to film kind of like a one-on-one match for small fish and rudd and bluegill and panfish and stuff like that. That's still on the schedule for next year. We couldn't make time for that this year. We had kind of looked at our schedules, and he worked a lot. I worked a lot. You know, I had stuff to get done around the house. We had the roof to finish, and I finished the roof, and then I saw that there's the tiniest of leak coming in from the opposite side the other day. So I need to go up there this afternoon or tomorrow and figure that out, because I spent a lot of money to fix that roof and a lot of time, and it was really hard. And then I saw a drip yesterday, so I need to fix that. But yeah, 334 Outdoors, Rudd are on the cards for sure. Okay, the ad must still be going, because it looks like the number of people in dropped off, and I don't know when it kicks back on. It doesn't tell me. Let's see here. So yeah, we've gone over the uploads that we have coming. I'm convinced I have another one somewhere. I'm not sure why I think that there's another one done, or don't remember actually doing one, but it's got to be around. I'm going to look at all the cards to find that out. I'm really excited about a winter project with Paul, because him and I have fished together a few times now. We always have the camera gear there, but the camera gear never gets fully set up to do anything. He has another project that he wants to do that involves, sitting me in front of a camera, which I'm looking forward to doing as well. So we've got a few different things to film. So getting a little bit more time with Paul over the winter is something that I'm actually quite excited about. YouTube Premium, no ads. Yeah, I keep getting hit with that too. Hey, join YouTube Premium. There's no ads. Like, sometimes those ads get me some cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like I've spotted a few things now that I'm like, put that in my cart. I might have to buy that. I know a lot of people hate them. Some people don't mind them. It's just one of those weird things. But hopefully the ad is done and we're kind of back together with everyone. Mr. Smith, good to see you there. So yeah, the winter project, that we'll see how that goes. I think it's going to be fun working on that with Paul and seeing what we get out of that, and definitely seeing how he puts it together. He films different. He sees things differently than I do, and he's got such killer equipment. It's going to be interesting to see what we get out of that. You can just cancel it. Gotcha. I see. So yeah, with doing the winter time, that's going to be fun. I'm going to do a little bit more multi-species through the winter myself. I have carp gear out right now in the basement that I actually haven't touched since March, because I had all of it out all winter time. I need to go through everything. I need to clean all the tackle bags out. I need to go through all the reels, go over the line. I want to clean out all the guides and stuff from the buildup of the different waters that I fish. I need to get through all that gear. So I'm going to leave the 10-foot setup out to be able to fish the winter with Paul. Everything else is going to get cleaned up and kind of put aside until spring, at which time I may be starting another campaign. But this will be a campaign that's probably going to take me all year to do. And I'm just at the preliminary stages of it. I must have the book over there. I have one of these books that I jot my ideas in, and I've written like 3 pages of these little notebook pages, just with the preliminary ideas of what I need to do if I go ahead with this campaign idea. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I ran it by Paul, and I ran it by Dave, and both of them like the idea. But those are 2 people that I think are going to be very key in kind of how I do it. Paul will be key because I know I can get some good filming advice from him for it. And he's also very encouraging. Dave will be key because I actually want Dave to fish it with me on this campaign. And Dave knows how I film. I know how Dave films, but we still see things differently. So I think doing this campaign with Dave would be far more interesting if we can make it happen. If Paul wants to join in on some of it, that'll be awesome too. I know he has a bit of a spring campaign idea that kind of falls in line with what mine is as well. So that it could turn out interesting. But I'll bring up more on that campaign idea at a later date. But, you know, I'm definitely going to get us back to our every 2-week schedule next year. This campaign is going to be something I'm going to work on through the year. And what I'd like to do once it's done, if I accomplish the target, is put it together more like a series like when we did the Quest for Carpopotamus. You know, that was one that we shot in 2017 in a very, very tricky time when we were doing weekly videos. We were doing the 12 months of carp, and we managed to sneak in this Quest for Carpopotamus in the schedule that nobody knew about until the following year when we actually released it. Plus, we were doing all the live streams every month too. So 2017 was a very full year where we were filming a lot of really cool stuff. And because everything was concentrated in that year, it's kind of hard for me to realize that we did as much as we did then. And having to look back while I work on this 300 upload video and going back through all the old clips, and it's just one of those things, especially with the year that I've had this year. Mr. Battersby, good to see you there. It's one of those things where I miss doing that kind of series type filming. It would have been nice to have done the winter campaign that way, but the clips just didn't come together in that fashion. And so I put it together the way that you've seen it presented now. But going out for like each session having its own kind of part to that campaign, then I want to do that again. And that's kind of what I want to focus on with this campaign for next year. So I have a little bit more to talk to Dave about with that. Him and I have to have a proper conversation about that. And like I said, I want to talk more to Paul about the filming aspect of that, because I think he'll have some better advice with how I should kind of go about filming that. So that campaign, you'll hear more of that coming up. Let's see here. Leaving 334 outdoors, leaving for a trout trip tomorrow morning, 8 hours to get to where they live. So let's drive. What type of trout in particular? That I'm curious about. I'd like to know what which ones you're actually going for. Oh, also through the winter, somebody, I apologize that I don't remember who, but it was on my notes that somebody had asked for pike video. If you go back through the library of videos we have some good ice fishing with pike, but the actual like pike on camera, like open water, there's only a couple of really small ones. I don't think I've ever been able to accomplish a proper, pike fishing video from shore. And we haven't done any videos from boats. So I'm going to try and get a pike video done soon. I actually have some tackle on the way that's going to help in that. Bows, browns, and brookies. The trifecta of awesomeness when it comes to trout. Unless you're here on the Big River, then the Grand Slam is Bows, Browns, and Lakers. So that's a bit of a different Grand Slam, but that'll be a cool one to see. Native brookie. Yeah, when it comes to brook trout, I have fished for them numerous times over the years, and this is where it gets a bit interesting. I think I can claim that I've had two based on a technicality, but if you want to get 100% official, I've never actually landed brook trout. The technicality is this. I have targeted brook trout. I have fished in the waters. I have looked down the whole ice fishing and seen brook trout hitting my lure and not been able to hook them. However, and wow, this is going back to like 2003. So we're looking at 20 years ago, maybe even 2002. So before I was with my wife. My ex, her and I were out ice fishing for brookies on a tiny little lake right up off of Highway 62 up towards Bancroft. And there was brookies in there. And I had been there a few times and couldn't get them. And her and I set up on the ice. And she was using one of my rods. I was set up. She hooked one and was struggling to get it pulled up through the ice. And I grabbed the line and lifted it out. And then I got another one on the rod she was using, which is still my rod, and got that one in for her because she was having trouble. They weren't big, but they were just so scrappy. It was very tricky. So on a technicality, I helped her land two on my gear, but I've never actually landed one on my own with my own gear. The following spring, funny enough, the same lake, when the water was open water, the ice was gone. I took my youngest sister. Her and I went there, and we were basically fishing from shore and out of an inflatable raft to try and get to different spots in the lake. Tiny, tiny little lake. And she actually landed two herself. I was there, provided the equipment. She landed the two. So I can't really claim that I've had any because I've never done it, but I've basically made it possible for others to get their first brook trout. Very much the same scenario of, back when Demir got his first mirror on my gear, Goldie got his first 30 on my gear, while my line was out and I was busy. So, I can't claim points, maybe some points, but yeah, I've never landed a brook trout myself, and it's one on the list. I have to talk to Andrew about that. He still needs to help me get my first burbot and my first whitefish. So I'm sure that boy knows where there's some brookies. So I'll have to talk to him coming up soon. That'd be fun. So I mentioned some new baits. I had hoped that they would have arrived by now, but it's only been, I think I ordered them like 4 days ago. And our postal system is not always great. But if you're a member of the Canadian Carp Society, you'll know that we have certain benefits that pop up from time to time. And a lot of these benefits themselves are actually of a higher value than your membership. So it's still silly not to join. When you look at the benefits that the Canadian Carp Society members have with Monster Carp Tackle, Carp Kit, Carpology, Fishing TV. If you guys don't know that, that's kind of one of those fishing subscription video services that it's been around for a while, and it's really good, and it covers multi-species stuff. There's Carp Channel, there's a Fly Fishing Channel. I've actually been a member of that for a long time, like 5 or 6 years now or more. Fishing TV is actually really good. You get a discount on that. Cal Tire, if you live where there's a Cal Tire in Southern Ontario, members get a discount from there. Olight. I have a lot of Olight products. There's probably some on my desk somewhere, but that one became kind of an obsessive benefit. But there's the newest one, which is, it's kind of odd to some and awesome to the rest of us. A lot of Canadian Carp Society members are multi-species anglers. Okay, a lot of us come from a multi-species background and maybe focus more on carp. Now, a lot of people still have those multi-species trips. But our newest benefit to Canadian Carp Society members is from BAM Baits. They don't make carp tackle. They make bass, pike, walleye, multi-species tackle, soft plastics, hard body baits, stuff like that. I had heard of them, but I had never actually used their products before. So when I saw what the benefit is that we get from them now, that they've partnered up with the Canadian Carp Society, I think the post about us actually getting that benefit had only been up about 5 or 6 minutes. I immediately went to the BAM Bait site and I dropped a wad of cash on some tackle. I'm waiting for it to arrive. It'll probably arrive early next week. But a bunch of soft plastic baits that look really good. And I'm actually quite excited to use them. So I'm kind of bought according to what my next targets are going to be. So I bought some soft plastics that I can drift for lake trout and rainbows, or jig for both. But I can also use those for pike if I can get onto a nice pike spot before it gets too cold. So that one, when I get that gear, maybe I'll do the tiniest of unboxing videos. But if the products turn out as good as I've heard they are, I'll definitely order more, and we'll go out and do a video and maybe focus on just that tackle, because I was actually quite excited to see that benefit to Canadian Carp Society members, because there's a lot of members that will benefit from that, being able to get some of that that tackle from a Canadian company for Canadian anglers. So yeah, I haven't been buying much gear, and as soon as I saw that, it was like, oh yeah, here, just take all the money. I did a small order to start with, but I have a feeling like I've already almost gone back in and ordered more, but I'm going to wait till it arrives first and check it out. 334 outdoors. No Lakers this far south. You have to either set the hook and land the fish, or set the hook and do a 90% of the fighting. Yeah, agreed. Eel pout mission this winter. Poor man's lobster roll at the end. So for those of you that follow actually Andrew Fishing on YouTube, as far as I understand, eel pout and burbot are the same fish, are they not? But he actually caught some burbot, and he did eat one in one of his videos. He did cook it up and eat it, and said it was actually really good. So that's one of those things that, unfortunately last winter the ice conditions just weren't what they were with the time that we had scheduled together to go up and do a session. So I really, really want to get up there this winter and get into those species. And if I can get one of those burbot or eel pout, I swear they're the same fish. I'm not one that eats fish, but I want to try it. I love lobster, and that texture, it's different to other fish or whatnot. I'm not big on seafood, but I want to try it. So that's, if I can get up there and get that fish with Andrew this year, which will be fantastic, just being able to get up and fish with Andrew again, maybe on his turf this time. But to get a fish that I've never caught before, and then to be able to, possibly eat it up, that right there is a whole other video, just me eating a new fish. That'd be cool. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, but I'm excited for that. If you get into some of that, you're gonna have to send me some pictures so I can see them. We'll post them on the Instagram. almost through my notes here. Again, we're 45 minutes in. I've been rambling and going on. How have you guys been doing? I know a bunch of you have been fishing. What have the results been? Who's catching right now? Who's on the bank right now? What are you guys up to? Dan, I know you were out the other day, but it didn't go as you had hoped. Mr. Battersby, you're always sneaky about getting on the bank. What are you getting? Dave Newman, you've had one this morning. That's good to hear. Are you in your normal spot? Are you at the hot spot? Hot spot. I haven't fished at all this year. Don't really have an excuse as to why, aside from the fact that I just wasn't fishing. Like I said, I wasn't motivated to get out. Normal quick area, 1 rod. Well, that's good to know that they're still in there. Mr. Battersby, done for the year. You must be working a lot then. Well, hopefully you can sneak a couple more sessions in. Dave Newman, the Park Lake, Yep, I know it. And there's still a campaign that I want to do on that Park Lake, but given its distance from me and how public it is, I just don't know how I can pull off the campaign that I want to have there. That one's going to take some more planning. But for those of you that have been around a while and watched a lot of these live streams, the Goldie fish is in that location. The fish that I want to catch that Goldie spotted. Oh man, 6 or 7 years ago now. At least 6. That fish I've not seen since, but I'm sure it's still there. It has to be. There's just too much water for it to not be there. There's a lot of great fish in there to work as backups during a campaign. But that one fish is really what I'm after. Got the same mirror in here this year 3 times. Is it the same one you and I both had, or is it a different one? Because there's a number of... it looks like the ads have popped in again. Sorry, guys. Different mirror. Okay, so maybe one's moved in on that spot out of the over the other one. Yeah, for those of you guys that can still see me, it looks like there's an ad running that I missed. So some of you might be getting that. Unfortunately, sorry. So yeah, there is definitely a campaign to be done on that location. There's a lot of swims that will give you a lot of water to work on, but there is so much water in that Park Lake that just has no public access. I don't know how you could fish it. Tim, good to see you. Good to see you in there. I don't know how long you've been following along or what you've been caught up with, but I'm sure you'll go back after and see. Just kind of giving everybody an update of where we are and what's going on. As usual. But nice to see you pop in there. So yeah, I guess, Dave, the one thing that I can think of is to do the campaign that I want to do on that water. A drone would be helpful to fly it out over to kind of narrow down a few spots, because that fish could be spotted from the air. Not just because of its size, but because of its distinguishable features that really separate it from everything else. But there's so much. Yes, that one, the orange one. It's like a massive koi that's in there that I want. I want a photo with that fish. I want to catch it. It was big when I saw it last. I'm hoping that it's bigger. I remember it as orange and white. Goldie remembers it as orange. So I don't know. We'll have to see. That one would be, you'd be able to spot it with a drone, but there's so many residents around that park lake. I think you'd be violating some rules putting a drone up there. So I don't think that would go over well. I had thought about, borrowing a kayak or a small inflatable or a canoe or something and going through there and looking to see if I could spot it from the water. Just because there's so many areas you can't target with not having bank space. It's not practical to be in a swim and run your lines out 200, 300 yards, which some of our reels can do, because it's a public area. And for those of you who saw the video that I did from the one swim, I couldn't even fish in the swim I was in without people pulling their boats up through over my rods. The one people that brought their boat in right up over my lines, I had to move the pod and help them lift it out because their motor cut out on them. There was a woman that come up from behind me wanting to launch her canoe right where I was sitting. Like, there's so many other places to put their stuff in or take it out there. Why everybody felt the need to disturb somebody fishing, it's beyond me. I don't get it. Oh well. I want to find a new swim there where I can have a bit more privacy, that Dave and I can work on together, and maybe find a way to bring that special Goldie fish to us. But that one's going to take a lot more work, a lot more planning, and that campaign will be really cool. It'll be full of lots of smaller fish, but the mirrors in there, when we can get into them, oh my God, there's such beautiful mirrors in that water. But yeah, that koi is definitely on my list, and I hope it's still alive. And I hope it got bigger, because, like I said, it was big when I saw it last. And we had intended on doing a campaign right then and there, starting it at that point. And man, I did 5 or 6 sessions in close proximity after seeing that fish. Never saw it again, and ended up I think I actually blanked every session after that. Just couldn't catch anything there. I did go for a walk there this summer, maybe August. I went for a walk through there, and I actually spotted a few fish that were a little bit larger than the average in there. But I spotted them from a bit of a distance. They weren't in normal spots where I would see them. So who knows? That spot, with the attention that Dave and his crew have been putting in there, maybe the bait's getting the fish a little bit easier to catch, perhaps, or maybe a little bit more wary, so they're feeding elsewhere. And who knows? They might develop some new challenges in that water. So, oh, I don't know what that was. Sorry. So yeah, definitely a lot of campaign ideas. But the one I really want to focus on next year, like I said, I'm working on a lot of notes of how to pull that off, and I'm going to talk to Dave and Paul some more about that one. Anybody else catching out anything? Aside from maybe Mr. Battersby there, has anybody actually packed up for the season? Anybody going to take the winter off? I know a lot of people, just shut down, put things away for the winter, catch up on family time and stuff, which is always very needed. Tim, you're out today. 2 cats, 5 carp. That's good. Dave Newman, got 10 months running now. Need a November and a December fish. Yeah, that 12 months thing is can be a lot of fun. I seem to remember doing something like that. And for those of you who may be joining in on this live stream and haven't don't necessarily know what that reference is we did that series back in 2017 called the 12 months of carp. Now you could go back through the library and see all the individual videos as they came out, but just recently, earlier this year, I did release the 16-hour complete 12 months of carp mega film, and a bunch of you have gone back and actually watched the whole mega film, which is awesome. When I was putting that together, I couldn't sit down and watch the whole thing. Oh, man, my nose is so itchy. I'm sorry, guys. Because it was so time consuming to work on that project. But every time I would find myself stopping and just watching segments, I'm like, I don't remember doing that at all. And I don't remember this person being there. I don't actually remember that location. Like, there was a lot of that. I was like, holy crap, I completely forgot about all this. Just the other day, I actually sat down and I watched the October edition of the 12 months of carp. And when Goldie and I went up and we fished with Will I think we fished 3 or 4 different locations during that. We fished with Will, we fished with Matt Hayes and Richard Lee on Rice Lake. And oh man, to sit back and look at that, just that session, that weekend when we did the October 12 months of carp, that was some of the most fun that I've had filming to date. That was such a great weekend. Goldie and I had such a great time. Will had a lot of fun. You could tell that Matt and Richard were having fun. And honestly, that video never would have ended up being what it was if it wasn't for Matt and Richard. I've mentioned it a number of times, but when we were ready, Goldie and I were ready to leave on the last day, and we just stopped in to see Matt and Will and Richard. We needed a 10-second shot of the rods at Rice Lake because we referenced fishing there the day before. And that turned into like another 8.5, 9 hours of filming that just, it was such an unbelievable day of fishing where we were having quadruple headers where there'd be like 4 of us fighting a fish at a time. It was absolutely insane. Oh my God. You know what? Sometimes a mustache is just a pain in the ass. I think that's what's making my nose itchy. So yeah, I sat down and I watched the October video the other day, and it was just like, man, I really miss those kind of series and kind of filming projects like that. And definitely the breakdown series that we're doing now, Dave and I, definitely that's filling part of that void because we're having a lot of fun filming the breakdown, and fishing it has kind of made some unique challenges. But I want to get back to doing more of that. So yeah, for sure. Rob, such a tough challenge. Lots of respect to anyone that pulls that off here. Yeah, it was when we did it, we didn't know of anybody else that had tried it, let alone documented it. Since we did it, I know of a lot of people that have been able to go out and successfully get a carp in each month of the year in Canada. Some of them getting some amazing captures as well. And it's always great to hear that right there where Dave says Anglerphiles inspired. Just the fact that somebody's trying something that we did because they were inspired to do something different or inspired to take on a challenge they wouldn't normally do. I love seeing that and hearing that, and I feel so appreciative that we've been able to kind of help challenge somebody to push themselves a little bit more in their angling. Um, it's really, I think that's really special. 334 Outdoors. I'm working on deer season right now till February 10th. Then after that, I'm going to catch a carp for the first time in 2 years. I'll tell you what, catch two. When you get out there and you try to get that carp for the first time in 2 years, catch two. The first one won't count. The first one's just going to be like a, okay, yeah, cool. I got one. First one I've had in 2 years. The second one, you're going to appreciate a lot more because the weight's going to be off your shoulders and you're going to be like, okay, yeah, I get to play this. Oh, yeah, this feels great. This is awesome. Catch two. Oh, my messenger is just blowing up right now for some reason. Emails blowing up. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to look into that right now. So yeah, Rob, sorry, good to see you there. Thanks for the comment in the chat. You know, is it just me or have we not seen Doug in the chat for a while? Where's Doug? What's going on? Doing a weight loss challenge too. Yeah, you've lost a lot of weight, man. When I saw you in the summertime there, it's like you're wasting away to nothing. But I suppose that helps it, makes it easier to get into some of the spots that you fish. It's one big thing I hate about fishing the hot spot. As great as it is, what, like almost 2 kilometer walk into the spot there? I hate that. 75 pounds since New Year's. Good for you. Mr. O'Connor, good to see you there. Missed the start again. We'll have to watch the first half hour later, see what you missed. Absolutely, you will. Absolutely. Sorry, it's still like breakfast time for you where you are, with that huge time change and whatnot. But good to see you in there, John. You've had, you've hardly had any sessions, but your sessions have been like legendary sessions. You've had an amazing time. And I will say this, for those of you who are members of the Canadian Carp Society and have been waiting for the latest episode of CCS TV, I believe, not 100%, I believe episode 5 drops tomorrow on the site. If it's not tomorrow, it might be next weekend. But episode 5 is coming out very soon on our Canadian Carp Society platform. And the feature film or the feature kind of session piece in episode 5 is Mr. O'Connor, who's right there in the chat. And he had a session for the ages. One hell of a session. Not only are you going to see a lot of big fish, you're going to see some special fish. You're going to talk about his tactics, how the environment changes where he is, and there's cows. And right there, when I say there's cows, that's reason enough to watch. So yeah, for those of you who have been waiting for CCS TV episode 5, that drops very soon on the site. So check that out for sure. Again, if you're not a member, man, I don't know why. The benefits alone, like I said, make the membership worth it. But the vast library of information, the videos, the films, the camaraderie, the chat, everything, the socials, and there's even more socials already being worked on for next year. You know what? Speaking of the socials, I mentioned it how many times at the start of this live stream, and I didn't even tell you how the CCS social for this year went up on the St. Lawrence. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll tell you why. Dave filmed it. I helped, but for the most part, Dave filmed that, and he's actually been editing it, and he's quite happy with how it's coming along. So that will be something that once that's done, obviously it will be available to members. But just like we put the social from 2022 on the YouTube page for the public, so even non-members can see, well, for lack of a better term, so you can see what you're missing. You're missing some good times with the members of the Canadian Carp Society. We'll see how this video gets released, but Dave's working on it now, and that was a great time. We were at a different location than the previous year, up on the St. Lawrence, and you know what? I actually liked this location fishing wise. It was definitely more of a challenge. The weeds were really thick, and we were all trying to fish to a channel that was about 80 to 100 yards out. Many of the members were now taking to boats and canoes and going out and finding spots, dropping the rigs carefully. I was casting. I had the 13 footers out there. I did manage fish, but getting onto my spot casting was a challenge. I ended up losing one and landing one. There was a few members that had 2 or 3. There was some amazing boat battles to watch. You know, we were all set up in a straight line this time, so it wasn't like we were around bays the year before, which made it tricky. Now everybody was in a straight line, so you could see everybody from the far end, from the furthest peg right and the furthest peg left. I was actually dead center, so it was easy for me to kind of see everything. So every time you hear an alarm, you just go running. You know, Dave and I were filming. I think we filmed pretty much the whole thing with our phones, and which was really weird, but it's kind of how it ended up. Didn't get much sleep because if Dave passed out and was snoring away, I would get up and film at night. But Dave pretty much covered everything, and it was a good time, and everybody had a lot of fun. The barbecue that was put on by Simon from Carp Kit and Kevin, that was a great barbecue. Lots of food, lots of good times. It was great to see a lot of new faces that weren't there the year before. Even Anthony from Saskatchewan flew all the way over to make this social for that weekend. So yeah, it was a really, really good time. And it was a lot of fun and a really nice campsite, nice location. Even though the one morning, technically we got shot at. I'll leave it at that until you see the film. But yeah, I guess technically we kind of got shot at, which that was an awesome thing to wake up to as well. But we'll leave it at that and wait till you see the film and you'll understand. So John O'Connor, you got 4 trips in 28 nights, or 4 trips totaling 28 nights, and yeah, you had a lot of fish, a lot of good fish, and we've got a really cool film to show for it. So thank you for that. 3 through 4 outdoors. I found all of my filming gear that I lost when I moved, so I might try to put out a few videos next year. Yes, do it. Do it. Here, hang on. I'll do like the Emperor from Star Wars. Do it. Yeah, there you go. Just for you, little impression. Yeah, film something. I want to see it. Rob, amount of money we spend at Carp Kit, the CCS can work out to be pretty much free with that benefit. Yes. Yeah, and it only takes a couple of orders to really make that value that worth it. And when you couple in all the other benefits, like I said, the BAM baits benefit that just came up, that's not even related to carp fishing, but it's fishing related for us multi-species anglers. That's a massive benefit. The order that I did, the money I saved because of the discount that's offered, would cover like a third of my membership. Like it's that significant. And that's just what I was saving there. Like technically I didn't pay any shipping because of how much I saved. You know what I mean? Like we've got amazing benefits there at the CCS, and there's always new ones popping up. So yeah, exactly like Rob said, pretty much your membership ends up free if you utilize the benefits over time. It's worth it just for that. And I'm sure there's members that have joined just for the benefits and don't even pay attention to what we're doing. Maybe once or twice they'll read an article, but the benefits alone are such a good value. Get to go fishing and skip the gym without feeling guilty. Yeah. The CCS annual Florida trip. Man, that'd be something. The problem is you get a bunch of us Canadians down into Florida for a carp trip, CCS social. I would say at the end of that trip, 60% of us would be eaten by alligators. The other 40% probably dead from snake bites. We're not equipped for that kind of water, sir. I'll never forget that picture you sent me. It was a while ago. And there's another ad about to come up, guys. Hang on, let me see if I can skip that. You sent me a picture of what was out in front of your swim. I can't remember. It was a response to a post that I had done, and obviously there's a lot of you who didn't see it because it was just something you sent to me. But I recently saw the photo again in one of my folders, and I showed my wife, and it was some trees on either side, and the water's out in front of your swim, and there's an alligator swimming across in front of you. Like, yeah, I couldn't do that. Nope, that's a big nope for me. You're already getting shot at, so you're halfway there. Yeah, it was funny. It just coincided with the first day of duck season, and there were some hunters that I would say did not give us enough space. So that made for a very interesting morning, and what probably turned out to be a really horrible morning for them once we were all up and realizing what was going on. We'll say their chances were very quickly shut down. But yeah, that'll be in the film because we got footage of that when that happened. And yeah, Dave was on top of things for that. It was awesome. How are we doing for time? Almost an hour and 15 minutes. So it's 1:30 almost. I need to have something to eat. I haven't eaten yet. And I want to get back to editing, but I need to lay down for a bit. So last week, not this past week, the week before. So when I mentioned 2 weeks ago that I'd been out fishing with Paul, the very next day I somehow came down with a bit of a stomach bug of some sort from something I've eaten. I think I have it narrowed down to the eggs that I had because everything else I've had since, and that was the only thing that nobody else in my house was eating. So I ended up with a bit of a stomach bug, ended up missing the first couple of days of work for that week. And then when I did go back to work, because of the state that I was in after having been sick, it put my back out, and I've been pretty much out of commission since. I ended up missing like another several days of work. I've been pretty much laying down, or I'm having to alternate. I can stand for a bit, I can sit for a bit, then I got to lay down for a bit. But like right now, just a little over an hour that I've been sitting here at the desk, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm still not standing fully upright. The chiropractor has done what she could to get me started, but I need to get back to see her. So like I said, I've spent a lot of time going through these clips and working on these projects. That's how I've kind of come to the conclusion that the match fishing video has to be scrapped and restarted. It's how I've been able to get a lot of these other videos done or caught up to where they are. So definitely I want to get some more editing done this afternoon, but I'm going to have to switch over to my laptop and go lay down to do it. So we're probably going to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes. And I thank you all for joining in and hanging out with me this afternoon. I'm doing my best to get what videos we have ready, to get them out to you as quickly as I can, and get us back on the train of productivity, to get us back on schedule, because we missed out on a chance to have a lot of videos this year. As little fishing as I did, I had a lot of great sessions. The social session was great. I came back and we fished the SSF, and Dave and I had some amazing fish, including I had a 35 pounder. I had no cameras rolling for that. I had a 35, a 29, several 22s, and like 8 or 9 backup mid doubles in one day. Went back the next day, had just as many fish, that included like a 25 pounder. I had an absolutely killer week and a half of fishing that cameras didn't roll for it at any point, and I ended up kicking myself afterwards that I should have been filming. But it really kind of made me appreciate my fishing a lot more, especially fishing with Dave. But it's hard not to appreciate that. I can say that 1,000 times. Missing out on those big fish, not getting them on camera for you guys, really made me realize how much I've dropped the ball this year. So I am back to getting things done. Being out of commission the last week and a half has kind of forced my hand where I couldn't do anything else but edit, and now I want to get back on the wagon and putting things back together. So definitely getting that sorted out. Oh, that alligator was old Greg. He was harvested for this gator season. He was a little over 11 feet. My God, that's a big gator to me. I think I was only ever close to one once, and it was relatively small. So old Greg has been harvested, but he was over 11 feet, and he was swimming in front of you while you were fishing for carp. Yeah. Florida is a nope for me. I was there in 1991, and I really don't think I'll be back. The only cool thing about that, though, is that the place we stayed in, there was lizards that were running in under the porch, and I was catching little lizards. That was kind of fun, but yeah, I've had enough Florida. But yeah, thank you all for joining in. Really appreciate seeing you guys in the chat, and I love to see what you guys are up to. Who's catching, who's out, who's trying something new. Dave, get that November and December fish. The spots where they are, so it can happen. 334 Outdoors, always good to see you carrying on. Dan, Galen, Wayne, Tim, as always. Rob, good to see you in there. Mr. O'Connor, always a pleasure. Looking forward to your film coming out on the site soon. So yeah, great to see all of you. Thank you so much. I wasn't alive in 91, but I know for a fact nothing has improved since 94. We weren't alive in 91. Oh my God. I was in grade 8 in 91. Just about to go into high school. I think I went into high school in 92. Yeah, I'm old. It's okay. Hence the bad back. Yeah, too much fishing without caution. Been into too many weird spots. I'm sure it's good to just relax and enjoy your passion for fishing, though, instead of filming. At times, yes. But I always regret afterwards, because usually I end up having a killer session and know that I could have made an amazing video out of that. So there's a bit of a guilt factor that comes with just sitting back and enjoying my own fishing. Because sometimes the best sessions that I really want to share are the ones that I didn't have the camera out. Certainly recently that's been the case. Some of the most amazing sessions I've had in the last 2 years, I didn't have a camera going and I still beat myself up over it. But yeah, I know what you're saying. And 334 Outdoors is, yeah, he's making a lot of us feel old. Tim, yep, take care. Thank you. Mr. Battersby, always a pleasure. Thank you. We'll be in touch soon. We still have that session to plan that we didn't make happen this year. We'll make it happen next year for sure. You and me against your brother and Dave. We'll make your brother get in costume as well. We'll make him be his wrestling persona. We'll come up, maybe all of us will come up with our own wrestling persona. And when we do that, that could be fun. Yeah, absolutely looking forward to it. It's gonna be good. Again, thank you all. I really appreciate it. As it stands right now, I'm going to hold out on that 300 upload video until I get that last clip. And so probably later this afternoon, I'm going to get to work on episode 4 of the breakdown. So I'm not sure which one you're going to see first, but one of those is coming. Oh, look at this. Bruiser Battersby himself pops in, sitting there silently the whole time. The only way we can do it, full gimmicks. Look at you, just waiting for your moment to strike. Yeah. I think you just went heel there, didn't you? Crap, he's here. Yeah, I see that. Okay, let's see. All right, looks like my mother's calling me, so yeah, I need to wrap this up. Great to see you all. Thank you so much. The Battersbys, it's going to happen. I'm going to talk to Dave now that we have a new gimmick and we have to get costumes. So we'll see you all again in November, so probably 2 weeks from now. So Remembrance Day weekend. I think the 11th is a Friday this year. I hope to be on the bank that weekend. I'm not sure where yet, but I'm going to do my best to try and do that live stream from the bank. I just have a few things I got to sort out first. And it gives me about, 2 weeks or so to at least get one of these videos out to you. But I think we're back on track. I've fixed a lot of things with the programs. I think the good times are ahead of us, and the crap times, I think, are hopefully behind us. So we will see you all again soon. Thank you so much.